Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi. We have not a ton of news, but we got a couple different things. We got a little bit of World Junior news that we're going to talk about here. We got a decent little bit of news, but before we get into that this episode, I have one segment that you have not seen yet, and I want to I can't really show you the video or anything, but I just want to get your reaction on, because this has happened a few times in the NHL over the past few years. Usually it's a bit more of a vet when it happens, though. But the clip going around that a lot of people are looking at is it was the Minnesota Wild versus the Vancouver Canucks. And the Canucks dump it in, rims around the boards. It ends up behind the net. Wallstedt does the goalie thing, stops it with his stick. He's getting ready to either pass it forward or back. He's making a decision. And is it pronounced Atu Ratu?
Yeah.
Yeah. Atu Ratu is going on Wallstedt's blind spot behind the net, but he's not really forechecking that hard. You know, it's kind of the due diligence pressure. He's not expecting to get the puck. And then Kiefer Sherwood skates in front of the net. Again, both these players are on the Canucks, not his team. And Sherwood just yells, "Leave it." He just yells, "Leave it," as if he's a defenseman. And Wallstedt just kind of gently taps it behind him and starts skating away. And then he turns around and realizes, oh, fuck, that's not my teammate. And Ratu just grabs it and swings it around and puts it in the empty net. And that's one of those plays that I feel like you only ever see vets going for it. So I love that Sherwood, of all people, I mean, like, this guy shoots and hits like an animal. So I did kind of see the goal, but I didn't know that's exactly how it went. I think that's awesome. Yeah, that's when just you're under pressure, being smart and understanding the situation around you. And I'm almost surprised more players don't go for it every now and then. Even if you don't get people falling for it because you go for it too much, it might confuse defenders or goalies and stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, guys are on the forecheck down the corner kind of cycling. If you're behind it, the guy on the other team, and you just pass back, in that split second, maybe he doesn't have enough time to think whose voice is that, and he just throws it.
Yeah, well, and I mean, players do it a fair bit. Like, we've seen it a couple times this year already, where a guy comes in and basically has a breakaway. Well, in some cases they do. It's just them and the goalie, and they still go for a drop pass, or they kind of curl and slide it back out front. And it's like, why are you doing that? And it's because, guys are either A, guys are calling for it, or B, these players just aren't very smart, or
not confident in their shot.
They have no confidence whatsoever in their game. And if that's the case, then you probably don't need players like that if they don't have the confidence to take a shot on a breakaway, even. Like, that's, so I'm kind of leaning that it's, guys are calling for it, yelling for it. And in some cases it works out for them. And if it doesn't, well, who cares? I mean, at least you tried. And
I mean, you're not risking anything really by doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it was funny,
I'm all for that.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if in the replay, if the score, it's a replay, so the score is not up. I kind of think this was the first goal, though. And I think that was like the first goal at that point. I think Wallstedt had like 3 shutouts in his last 5 games or something. So, like, it was actually, they kind of needed to get a goal there. So the fact that they could sneak one away from Wallstedt.
It was in the third period.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it was their 4th goal of the game. So Wallstedt already kind of having a rough go there, but that was also his first regulation loss of the season.
Jeez.
No one there, so tough way to go, but
it's all downhill from him from here. I washed my hands clean of him this morning. The trade went through in our fantasy league. I no longer have him.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you don't got to worry about whether he does good or bad anymore. It does not affect you anymore.
Just got to worry about how Hellebuck is when he gets back from his surgery. So we'll see on that.
Fingers crossed for you that it's sooner rather than later.
I don't know how good he's going to be. I'll tell you one thing. I think down the stretch, they're going to be playing the shit out of him because the Jets are not doing great right now. They're going to need to rack up wins to get into the playoffs.
The only issue could be is down the stretch, meaning March.
Hey, that's when the playoffs. That's when the playoffs are, as far as fantasy hockey goes. So
that is true, absolutely. But we can move on from that.
Yes.
Do you want to hit us with the 3 stars of the week for
3
this
stars of
past
the
week
week
here? Just
We
a
got-
disclaimer again, as always, it is the NHL's 3 stars of the week. It is not our own.
True. Yeah, and the other goalie that I traded in that trade as well is the first star of the week, and that is Elias Sorokin. He had a fantastic week. He had at least 1 shutout. He had, I think, 2 other games that led in.
Did he get a shutout?
Hey,
No, I'm just curious. I'm not
Yes, he
100%
got a
sure,
shutout.
so I wanted. Oh, okay.
Yes, he got a
Just
shutout
wanna
against the
clarify.
Lightning.
Oh, okay.
Jake Ottinger is the 2nd star of the week. Carter Verhaeghe, 3rd star of the week.
I
yeah,
guess I
mean,
could pull up their stats from this past week.
I say these guys all had banger weeks. I know Sorokin had, I think he had the shutout and then 2 other games where he had 1 goal against, and a lot of shots in all of those games as well.
Yeah, Sorokin went 3-0 on the week with a 1.33 goals against, a 960 save percentage, and 1 shutout. Jake Ottinger, very similar, 3 wins, no losses, 0.98 goals against, a 961 save percentage, and 1 shutout. 2 very good goaltenders having very good weeks. And Carter Verhaeghe, 4 goals, 1 assist.
They had Sorokin ahead
in 3 games.
That'll do it.
Probably for Sorokin because
the Islanders are
tougher
just
competition.
Tougher competition.
Again, he
also
did it up
not
again.
as good of a team in front of them.
I don't think it's got anything to do with the team.
I mean, I think it's on the Stars.
I mean, yeah, but you look at it like what did he do? So he shut out the Island or the Lightning, beat Tampa, and that was a 2-1 game, and then they beat the Avalanche. He did allow 3 in that game, but those are 3 really big wins over
going into that first game,
the Lightning and the Avalanche.
No, you know what? You're 100% right.
And
going into that first game, Tampa was on a 7-game win streak, and the Avs
were on
somehow hotter.
They were on an 11-game win streak or something like that. Point being, that was the Avalanche's 2nd regulation loss of the season.
They weren't on a win streak at that point because they had lost to.
Oh, right, they did. Sorry, they're, I guess, point streak, you could still say.
Yeah.
The Dallas Stars, they beat.
That was probably the 2 hottest teams in the league, and he won 3 games against them.
So Ottinger shut out the Devils, and then they beat the Sharks 4-1, and then they beat the Penguins 3-2 in a shootout.
Okay.
So.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think they just gave it to Sorokin because, again. Tougher competition.
Especially the Avs. I mean, they've been nuts this year. To be able to hold them to 1 or 2 goals is ridiculous, frankly.
I mean 3, but they scored 6, which was pretty huge for the Islanders.
Yeah. Not a lot of teams doing that lately.
No. But that's, again, the NHL's 3 stars of the week, not our own. We got some injuries that have happened over the past little bit here. A couple big ones, actually.
I boo injuries.
Yeah.
Hot take,
we're not.
I don't like injuries.
No one's a fan of injuries. Nobody likes to see them happen. But again, they are part of the game. And do you want to hit us with either one? I feel like either one we can talk about in some good detail here. So,
first, let's talk about Joseph Woll. He was placed back on IR with a lower body injury. That's Toronto's goalie. This is rough for them. Stolarz is already out, injured right now. Woll came back, and I think he was back for about, I want to say,
I think he played like 1. I don't think he played many games.
I thought I heard that he was really good in several games since he came back, but I don't think he was back. Maybe that's his stats on the season.
He
didn't play many games.
Actually, he did rack up some games. Yeah, no, he did. He played 8.
Okay, and he was pretty good in those games.
Yeah, decent stats. 4-3-1, 2-4, 4 goals against, 928 save percentage. So doing pretty well, and that's kind of always the biggest thing is people talk about him, and not even Woll in general. I guess just with not even goalies, players. You know, they're. I think the perfect example is, you know, Jack Hughes. We didn't have
Yeah.
Jack Hughes very high on our top 50 list. If you want to check that out, go over to the YouTube. We didn't have Jack Hughes high enough, or we didn't have him super high because you only get him for maybe 60 games a year.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're kind of baiting that. So that's kind of the thing with Joseph Woll is we know he can be a good goalie, but how much does that matter? Especially if you're a team like Toronto, if you're not going to be getting them for a full season, or potentially you're not even going to be able to have them for 30 games across the season. It can be tough, especially when Toronto's already down there near the bottom of the league, and Stolarz hasn't been good this year, and he's also out injured.
Their
So both
starting
your
goalie
goalies are
now
now
is
down.
Dennis Hildeby. I don't even know who their backup's supposed to be. And you can't have you can't run Hildeby ragged. Like he's gonna eventually have to sit, and now whoever you're playing is getting to go up against your fourth string. Like it's rough, and it's very unfortunate for Toronto. You know, they very specifically moved off of guys like Freddie Anderson for this reason because he couldn't stay healthy. And
Mhm.
unfortunately
And
now they're in a similar situation.
and can you make a move for a goalie? Really, probably not, because you don't want to be giving out assets to go get a goalie when now you've got three, and then you're forced to move one, and it's not going to be Stolarz because you just gave him that extension and whatnot.
Wool's kind of supposed to be their guy of the future. Like
It puts Toronto in a really tough
it's
spot.
yeah, they might try and sign a free agent goalie if they think somebody is good out there. Maybe somebody's doing well in the KHL or something. They can take a flyer on, but other than that, I think they're just going to have to ride with their guys. And I do think Hildeby has actually not been too bad so far. Oh, I spelled that right.
Yeah, no,
8
he's
games,
been solid for him in the two
927.
games since coming back up since the injuries, and since now coming up and being kind of
Yeah.
their guy for the time being. 2 goals against on 35 shots, win against the Penguins, and then an overtime loss the other night to Montreal. Allowed 1 goal on 34 shots, and they lost in a shootout. So
Yeah.
in the 2 games since he's come up and kind of been the guy, he's been fine for him. So I don't think it's a
And
major issue right now, but you can't
if these
really
guys
his
aren't
play
coming back
can't slow.
soon,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. On the season, 8 games played and 927. So, you know, it's
that's right up there with Joseph Woll.
yeah, it's been good, but you can't expect that to stay there, right? You're like I can't see Dennis Hill to be putting up a 927 over 30 games if he has to play them. Oh,
I could maybe see it because he's only like he's 24, so he's a young goalie trying to make his mark in the league, and he is 6'7", 230 pounds, so like he is a big guy,
yeah.
and we kind of see with goalies they tend to take longer to develop. Like there's a chance that Hildeby could
He might
just
be a good
stand on his
goalie.
head, and maybe by the time Stolarz and Woll are back, you're forced to. And I think if you trade one, it's probably going to be Woll because again, you gave Stolarz that extension. But then maybe Hildeby
That could
could
also
force
make him easier
Toronto
to
into
move.
making a move. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's the end of the road for Toronto right now, but it's definitely they're kind of walking on eggshells, and
Yeah.
things could go bad very quickly or could get better. It's tough to say, but it is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that happened because earlier today Tampa put Vasilevsky on IR as
Oh,
well, and they're playing tonight. So we're gonna get to see some backup versus backup action. I think they actually got, since it's the Leafs, we're getting the Amazon Prime feed, so that'll be good.
oh,
But
they do good though. Actually, I know people
yeah,
clown on it, but I don't mind the Amazon ones.
yeah, I remember I had a couple different gripes with it early last season because I think that was right when they were like starting it, but
Yeah, last season was their first year.
it
Yeah.
wasn't even like the announcers or anything. It was like production value stuff. It was like some things were
Hmm.
weirdly loud, some things were quiet. It was some weird graphics and stuff, but other than that, honestly, it was it was better than any other feed I was finding.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly right. Um, Utah, Logan Cooley.
Utah.
out indefinitely with a knee injury.
Oh,
That
you
is not
hate to
good for
see
Utah.
indefinitely. You hate to see indefinitely. Yeah, I mean, he somehow avoided injury with that nasty knee-on-knee collision. Don't remember who with. Um, but he had a knee-on-knee with somebody else, and it looked like it might be bad, and they were lucky enough to get out of there unscathed, or so we thought. And then the other night, he went flying into the net, and I don't know if he was tripped or just fell or what, but yeah, he went flying into the post and hit his knee pretty good off of it. Not sure if it was the same knee, but yeah, it did not look good. We were saying before we started recording the podcast that it, you know, kind of looked a little bit similar to Stamkos's back in like 2014, 2015 when he broke his leg. So hopefully it's nothing that serious, but out indefinitely doesn't fill me with a ton of hope.
Yeah, it's not a good sign for Utah. Eh, They're gonna have to figure out a way to make it work
That's the
without
number
him.
one
Obviously, he's
center.
kind of the most key part to their, well, actually not the most key part to their team, but in terms of their forwards, um, definitely, and it's probably gonna be
Oh,
some
you're saying
struggles for them.
Sergachev's the
And
most important.
absolutely, yeah,
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were
yeah,
talking about Keller.
no, yeah, Sergachev. Yeah, without him, I like Utah, but without Sergachev, they're they're down near the bottom of the league,
Yeah.
probably.
I did see
But they
a
still have a lot
list
of good
earlier.
forwards, and
I saw a list of the I believe it was the top 10 uh defensemen who have the consistently have the toughest matchups in the NHL, and I do know Sergachev was on that list. So he's at least in the top 10
it's
players for the level of competition that he's on the ice against.
absolutely
So,
makes sense. And Utah's got a lot of good forwards still. Like you've still got Keller, you've got Gunther, you've got you know Paterka,
yeah.
Kraus, Barrett Hayden. That's the one I was thinking of, and then Nick Schmaltz, obviously. So I
Yeah.
mean, they still got good players, but now you need those guys to get going more consistently. Like we know Clayton Keller can be a 90-point guy. We know, that Paterka should probably be doing a little bit better than what he is, even though he's still been doing good. But everybody's kind of going to need to step their game up a bit. And Nick Schmaltz got off to that incredibly hot start to the start of the year and has really kind of cooled off. They're going to need him to start getting
Yeah.
that going, especially now that he's going to be centering that top line for who knows how long. It's going to be a lot of next man up, and I think Utah's got the talent to do it. It's just a matter of if these players can do it, because it's kind of been hot and cold for them for most of the team this year.
I'm just going to look up
Aside from, well, I guess once they
Schmaltz.
lost after that win streak, um, it's been very up and down for them.
Um so Nick Schmaltz is most likely, like you said, the guy who will be moving up into that first line center position. Man, they have a lot of draft picks. Nick Schmaltz. Okay, I was pretty sure because we had talked about this before. He is a UFA at the end of this season.
Yeah.
I wonder what the odds are that, you put him on that first line, maybe he gets a little chemistry going, boost some numbers with Keller, and maybe they end up moving him for a couple futures, maybe a younger guy, just get some assets back if they don't think he's a piece long term.
I kind of think so. That's kind of where I've been at. I've seen a lot of people saying, re-sign Schmaltz this and this. If I'm Utah, I'm trading Nick Schmaltz, and if I'm Nick
It's one of
Schmaltz,
their
I'm
older forwards.
probably not willing to re-sign. Just because you look at Utah and kind of where Utah's going, they've already got their young core. He's never going to be that top line center, and within the
2 years
next two
older than
years,
their
he's only
captain.
going to get bumped down the lineup more, because
Yeah,
Utah's still got Tijuana coming up. Um,
Daniil Boot.
Dino Boot, who looks like a rock star, but I think he's going to be more of a winger. And then you still got Caleb Desnoyers that they just drafted. So if you're Nick Schmaltz and you sign a 8-year deal, within the next 2 years, you could be a fringe third liner. Like he's just getting kind of bumped out as the team kind of has already been getting younger and the younger players start to come up. So yeah, I think if you're Nick Schmaltz, you play your heart out, you boost that trade value, and then when you get traded, you can potentially sign a nice deal. So
yeah, I definitely think it would work best for the team, the player, and whoever buys on him. I mean, you're getting a guy that can produce with some of the best of them, and ideally on a cup contending team, he's not on your top line, but more than capable of being a second line center. And hell, if he ends up on a stacked team and then goes to free agency, if you got a guy like Nick Schmaltz on your third line, that means you got some pretty good center depths. So
yeah, it means you have a good team.
Yeah, I think that would be the best course of action for everyone. Hopefully he can produce well enough on that top line to entice enough people in, because we keep saying it, people keep extending with all this new money they got on the rising cap. There's not going to be a ton of guys out there. He might be one of the best guys that teams can go after when it comes to trade deadline.
Yeah, and then especially with free agency as well, there's the possibility that he could get paid if it becomes a bidding war. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we'll see with Utah again. I think they have the talent to keep things going, and we'll wait and see what the ruling is on Logan Cooley. Again, we don't know the timeline at all. We just know he's out indefinitely. So
yeah,
we'll
we
keep
just
an eye on
know it's
that.
a knee or a leg, lower body injury, and indefinitely. So
yeah,
hopefully they let us know soon.
Long term.
Yeah, he was having a great year. He was having he was already good, and we all knew that, but he was really having a breakout year.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's not ideal. But we can.
He had 23 points in 29 games, 14 of them goals. He's already 11 goals away from his career high.
Wow.
So
yeah, he's been having a great year, and it's been kind of the one consistent part of Utah's forwards for the most part, and it's not easy to replace.
Yeah,
not easy to replace that. But we can move on here to the last kind of little bit of news outside of some other stuff. Quinn Hughes. A lot of talks about, is he going to stay in Vancouver? Is he going to leave? This, and this. The trade rumors have officially started. We know there's already been talks between Vancouver and New Jersey. Don't know the extent of the talks or how deep they went into them, but they've been there. And Detroit has also been mentioned to be swirling around Quinn Hughes. So, what are your thoughts on?
We've talked a decent bit about him going to New Jersey, right? Just the whole brothers
thing.
That's
the obvious one.
That's what people have been saying it for years, just so the brothers would all play together. But they don't really need who doesn't need a guy like Quinn Hughes, right? But they have Luke Hughes as the future guy on the power play. They got Dougie Hamilton there now, so it's not a perfect fit that way. But obviously, for something like this, you make the room. One thing I want to know
Hughes makes New Jersey better, but it's not like a perfect fit because it's not an area that New Jersey necessarily needs.
It's not
any team that has Quinn Hughes is going to get better, but
it's not a goalie going to Edmonton makes all the sense in the world. They need goaltending. If Dallas goes out and gets if Heiskanen's brother is a goalie, it's like, well, they already have Ottinger, and even Casey DeSmith is a great backup. Like, whatever,
he's been very good. Yeah,
it
just doesn't make sense, right? Yeah.
Detroit, on the other hand, actually seems like a team that they would love a guy like Quinn Hughes, and guess what? Nobody's doing what he can do over there. Do they even have a guy who's the consensus power play one quarterback?
I don't think at the moment, but I think long term their plan is probably it's going to be Axel Sandin Pellikka.
Yeah, but he's not even in the NHL yet.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Yeah.
Is he playing this year?
Yeah. I don't know if he's been a consistent night, like guy in the lineup every night, but he has been playing for Detroit this year. Yeah.
Oh, good for him. Yep, 29 games played.
He played in all 29.
8 points, minus 17. Ooh.
Yeah, that's not good. But I totally agree with you, though. I think Quinn Hughes makes more sense for Detroit. I don't know how fully true this is, but there's been rumors that Detroit is willing to pay for Quinn Hughes. Like they're not willing to like kind of throw an offer and be like, if you want to make the deal, make the deal. Like they're willing to give up a substantial offer, and I think that's actually really good for Detroit because again,
I was gonna say, yep.
Actual signing Pellica, he's getting to be great. I think he's a great prospect, and he's going to be a at least like a 65-point guy per year as a defenseman for Detroit. But is he going to become a Quinn Hughes? Probably not.
Not a lot of guys are supposed to.
Is he going to become the second best defenseman in the league? Probably not. We know that that's what Quinn Hughes is.
And that's with them playing on the Canucks. Cale Makar has played on the Avs. And, not that the Canucks haven't had talented players, but, I don't think we've seen the best years of Quinn Hughes yet. Have we seen the best of Cale Makar? Maybe. Like, I do not doubt that he can get better. But, he's been in a very good situation. Quinn Hughes hasn't exactly been in the same phenomenal situation.
Mm-hmm. And I think Quinn Hughes would, people are so... And I understand why, but they're so stuck in their mindset that at the end of the day, no matter what, Quinn Hughes is going to go to New Jersey. Whether he's traded there or once his contract runs out, he's going to walk to New Jersey. It's like, that's not a guarantee. Quinn Hughes, Detroit was... And it kind of sucks for Detroit because they were kind of all in on Quinn Hughes and going to draft Quinn Hughes until... Montreal kind of, because I believe that was the year that Montreal took Kotkaniemi third overall.
Yeah.
And then that allowed Filip Zadina to fall to Detroit. And they weren't expecting Filip Zadina to be there, but once he was, then they were like, well, we can't not go with him, so they took Zadina, and then obviously
should have just went with the scout.
So it's Montreal's fault, basically, is what I'm saying. But Quinn Hughes, he played for... Yeah, he played for Michigan in the NCAA. So, he's already kind of been there. I think he would resign there. Like, I think if he goes to Detroit, he would have no problem signing an extension there when the time comes. And
the trade package there starts with Sandin Pellica.
He did. Yeah, Michigan, he did, yeah. Most
surely that's what Vancouver would want back. That would at least be one of the big pieces. And I guess another thing I want to ask you, and it is funny because he came from this team, are they bringing back his D partner as well?
No. I don't think, because then at that point you're now giving up.
I'm blanking on his name. What's his freaking name?
Filip Hronek.
No,
because then if you're Detroit, you're giving up the fucking farm for that.
But then you're bringing in Hronek's, we know he's good. He's locked in at 7.25 for as far as cap wages shows past 2031.
But if you're Detroit, how do you make that money work? How do you bring in Quinn Hughes, knowing you're going to have to give him probably 14 mil on an extension? You bring in Filip Hronek. I think it would just be they would go after Quinn Hughes, and plus you already have Moritz Seider.
That's
true.
Got
your number one guy on the right side, and for what a deal would look like, I don't know, but I think Detroit would be more in the driver's seat because I think Detroit has more to offer that would be appealing. Because if you're Vancouver talking New Jersey, it's probably got to include Dougie Hamilton, and like, what good does that do Vancouver to get Dougie Hamilton back when? If you're moving out Quinn Hughes, you're probably rebuilding, retooling.
Yeah.
Dougie Hamilton doesn't help you in that sense.
Yeah, frankly, you don't even want to take Dougie Hamilton as a trade piece for later. You would rather it be a 3-team trade and you trade him in that same deal. Like you kind
of like what they did with the JT Miller one, where they got that first, but then they moved it for Marcus Pettersson right away. But except in this one, it would be like Dougie Hamilton would never even he wouldn't go to Vancouver at all.
Yeah, he
Like he
doesn't
would
have to
leave New
go
Jersey
check
and
in
go to
there.
his
Just
new team. And yeah, so then if it's not Doug Hamilton, there's Dawson Mercer. Simone Nemec is an option now. He's a full-time guy for the Devils.
are we sure he's not moving? Is he going to get enough opportunity in New Jersey that he'll be good there?
I think so. The way he's been playing right now, he's kind of made himself undeniable at this point. That
I mean, sure, but if you have Quinn Hughes and Luke Hughes, are you able to jump ahead of either of them really? Or
But he's right-handed. The Devils it would make no sense to put Quinn Hughes and Luke Hughes together on the same
right?
pairing, because then you basically have to tell Quinn Hughes, you're
So
one of the
you'd
best
say he would
offensive
play
defensemen in the league, but you got to now be a defensive defenseman to
to watch your
help
brother.
out your brother. Like it would
So
be
you're
Quinn
saying he
Hughes
would
and
play
then
on the
Luke Hughes would
first
be.
line with Quinn Hughes, probably.
I could potentially see it. The way he's
Okay.
progressing right now, I don't hate that idea.
And I mean,
But
it would suck not getting any power play time, or at least not a ton, because you would be below those two, I assume, on the power play depth chart. But
yeah,
maybe getting to play with a guy the level of Quinn Hughes makes up for some of that. So I guess I could see it.
yeah, like it again. Like could Detroit or New Jersey make a trade work? Absolutely, yeah. But you just look at Detroit, and Detroit's got just so many more pieces that I think would be desirable for the Canucks. Sandim Pellikka. I don't know if he would be moved, but he's out there. They've got a couple.
If you have
goalie
Quinn Hughes into the
prospects. They've got
future,
so many
you don't need
forwards.
Pellikka.
Probably not.
But you would have to know that you're able to get the extension on Quinn Hughes as well.
But I'm saying, like, if Detroit doesn't have to move Sandy Pellikka, don't just get rid of him just to be like, well, we got to move him, because that's an elite guy that can run your second power play for the next couple.
Yeah, the only reason I include him is I figure it's going to be
pretty
difficult to get the deal done without him.
Yeah, I expect he probably is a part of the deal. Absolutely. What's Detroit got for draft picks?
A couple of guys like Brandseg, Nygaard, and stuff like that, might boost it a little bit. They've got all their firsts going forward. Nothing really jumps out on their draft pick page. They don't have their second in 27. They don't have their fourth this year, but they have Columbus's fourth, and they have an extra seventh. So
you're probably looking at something like Axel Sandin Pellikka, Carter Bear, who they just drafted 13th overall in this past year's draft, a first round pick, and I don't know, you throw something else in there. That way you're getting two, A-level prospects, you're getting a first round pick, and and then you throw something else in. And the biggest thing is that doesn't take away from Detroit's team at all right now, their actual roster. They're losing prospects that could be coming up in a couple years. But you've already got a good forward core, and it's making your team better now. But it's not actively taking anything away from your team right now, except from Sandin Pellikka. Exactly. But again, it's a huge upgrade because you're getting Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and if you're looking at it big picture, and you're thinking, can this Red Wings team figure it out to get over that hump and become a legit contender? It's hard to say if they'll end up winning a cup with that team, but at the end of the day, who's making that decision? It's Stevie Y. He's starting to his seat's getting hotter and hotter.
Yeah.
I think he's at the point where he needs to stop looking at the future because he's not a part of that. If he's looking at prospects that are supposed to get to the NHL in 3 or 4 years, he's not going to be around for that.
Yeah, he won't even be there.
They can't make the playoffs until then. So, for just the GM, his personal standpoint, it makes the team better now when it needs to for his job as well.
Yeah.
So you can definitely see why he would want to make the move.
And I'm very torn on Vancouver's side because while they haven't officially said that they're they're trading Quinn Hughes at all or anything. Like, they haven't officially stated that.
For how little
But
teams talk about doing this stuff, it almost feels like they basically have.
And that's the difficult part, because if you're Vancouver, there's two sides to it, right? The first side is you move Quinn Hughes either at the deadline or before the deadline, and then the team that gets him, you now get him for the playoffs this year and next year. You get two playoff runs of Quinn Hughes at, his 7.8 mil or whatever. But
Vancouver should retain half of that as well. I feel like he's a guy that you'll just get that much more extra value out of, because damn, Quinn Hughes at less than 4 mil, like.
I mean, yes, and it's for 2 years. And you're going to get more if you move him this season. But if you're also Vancouver, do you try and just wait until the offseason and see if you can get an extension done with him and keep him around? Because, if you're Vancouver, you do have to look at the big picture and say, if we trade Quinn Hughes, you have to rebuild completely now.
But they openly said they won't. Even if they trade Quinn Hughes, they said we're not going to.
What I'm saying is, they say they're not going to, but you kind of have to. No one's going to want to go. No big name free agents are going to want to go to Vancouver when it's like, what, you go and you get Elias Pettersson's there. And how much do teams value him? How much do players see him as a top level player? I don't know. I think he's had a pretty decent year so far, but you're basically, you're fucked if you don't have Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
And then it's tear it down to the studs. But again, Vancouver says we're not going to do that, but they're kind of going to be forced to when your team sucks every night. Players don't want to go play for you. Oh, we want to win now. Okay, who are you going to trade for? Because no one wants to go there, probably.
Yeah, there's not a lot of players saying, I hope to win later.
So that's where I'm kind of stuck, is like, I get it. Yeah, trade Quinn Hughes this season, retain if you want, maximize that value, get a haul back. But I almost just think, man, you just got to wait until the offseason and
they
try
and
get an extension.
They absolutely
should.
Him.
Like, that's where I'm at. Is
the best scenario is keeping the second best defenseman on the planet. Like, it's insane how much they've allowed this to percolate, and they've allowed all this noise to build when he's not eligible for an extension for another 7 or 8 months. Like, we're so far away from his contract expiring, and we're already talking about it so much. Like, this conversation should be happening next season. Like, this is about the time of the year where it should be starting 365 days from now.
But I do think it's kind of ramped up because, what's Vancouver? Bottom of the league right now. Like, they're dead last in the league.
Are they?
I think they still are. I don't think that one win bumped them up. Let me double check here, but I'm pretty sure they are dead last in the league. Oh, okay, they're second last. They're just above Nashville by 1 point.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, I knew they were not doing great. I had no idea they were doing that.
But I know 1 point they were dead last in the league. So I think that's kind of why all these rumors and talks are kind of ramping up, because it wouldn't be happening if Vancouver's in a playoff spot or fighting. But the fact that they're a bottom team in the league, it's like, it's always going to ramp things up.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm sure this is something that will kind of be a on and off topic we'll be discussing throughout the entirety of the season, because that's just the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
I do think if you're Vancouver, you gotta just wait and try and see if you can re-sign him, because to be honest with you, if you're trading him to New Jersey and you're not getting at minimum Simon Nemec, Dawson Mercer a first, I just say I would just not even talk to New Jersey about a deal.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes wants to go there, fine, try and get him in for agency, because we're not sending you there because what you want to reunite the brothers, can overpay then.
Yeah.
Give us exactly what we want, and if you don't, well, all right. We're going to send them to Detroit and have fun trying to prime out of Detroit. And probably we'll have no problems signing a big extension there. So that's the beauty for the Canucks right now, is they do hold all the cards still. It's not like
especially with
JT
Quinn
Miller
having
where
zero trade protection. They could say, if Buffalo offers the right trade package, he could be in Buffalo tomorrow, and there's nothing he can do about it. So Yeah.
So Vancouver is actually I mean, the team as a whole, like second last in the league, is a shitty spot. But in terms of all this, I think they're actually okay right now because they're in control of everything. They're not forced one way or the other right now. They're not on a timeline where it's got to be done, realistically, like it's got to be done within the next 20 months. That's doable.
Yeah.
Ish.
They have a lot of
19
guys
months
that could
now,
be
but-
great trade bait as well. Like Teddy Bluger at under 2 mil isn't too bad. Kiefer Sherwood at 1.5 mil is fantastic.
Yeah, he's gonna
for
get
that value.
a
You could get
them.
You could get at least a first, if not more. People don't like him, but Evander Kane is making a little bit more than 5 mil. If a team's a little bit on the weaker side up front, if they're not very physical, I could see a team. I don't think they're getting a haul back or anything, but
I don't see many, especially after because like Kane didn't have the greatest playoffs last year, and he took some not smart penalties, and I think that might just scare some teams off of being like, you know what,
maybe
on the off chance we maybe get 8 goals out of him in the playoffs, he could cost us in a lot of important spots with some of his dumb penalties because it's really easy to get under his skin. He gets under other players' skins pretty easily, but you can rattle Kane pretty easily, and then
I wonder if having a good coach makes teams more willing to go after a guy like this. Say some of some of the depth isn't quite as healthy as they would have liked, and they get to the playoffs. A team like the Florida Panthers, are they going, okay, so he was obviously an idiot at times, but Paul Maurice can whip this guy into shape. Like, I think, do you think they look at that and go, maybe
absolutely, yeah. I think you're bang on with that. The right coach can.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get a ton for him, but I could easily see them moving him at some point. And then obviously Hughes that we've been talking about. Like they've got, they could, and they've got good young guys as well. Like they could do a decent little retool here if they were willing to. So
potentially, yeah. But again, we'll
see how that goes.
Come back to this at some point and see what's looking like. Last bit of kind of major NHL news. I didn't put it in here, but I did just remember it. Peter DeBoer. Don't know exactly how likely this is, but there are rumors that he's been linked to LA. So again, there's not a whole lot to say on it because again, it's just kind of rumors that potentially could be something. And all I can say is I'm all for it. If that's the route that the LA Kings want to go, I think DeBoer's a great fit there, and I would have no issues.
Who's their current head coach? Is that Hiller?
Yeah.
I don't think they love him over there in LA. I think the fans are getting pretty sick of him. But yeah, I do wonder if they're going to pull the trigger on that. I wouldn't be shocked if DeBoer waited until after the Olympics. Maybe, if he's one of the coaches, he goes in there and helps them win a gold medal. Maybe he can ask for a little bit more money. Maybe he goes to a more desirable location, depending on what the coaching ecosystem in the NHL looks like at that point. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes if he ends up going to LA.
I mean,
LA needs a new head coach and GM, frankly.
The thing is LA Kings do need a head coach. The only thing is I don't think it's the smartest for LA to go with a coach that's gotten whooped by Edmonton the last couple years in the playoffs. Like literally any other coach, I'm like, but it's like Peter DeBoer can't figure out Edmonton. And if he couldn't figure it out with Dallas, he ain't figuring it out with LA. So that's kind of the one thing I'm like.
And he's not really a rebuilding coach either. And they're kind of drifting closer to needing to do some sort of major retool or something. He's been pretty notorious over the past decade-ish of a lot of success with, teams that are already contenders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say. He's a good coach, but does he really fit what they're trying to do? I'd
love to see him go to Utah. If that becomes a possibility, I think Peter DeBoer would be a great fit in Utah.
That'd be nice.
But all in due time
we picked their coach to win the Jack Adams.
Yeah, so that's why he's gonna be the first one fired this season.
Damn.
The old stick 'em up curse. A player who's not cursed and then we love very much, Brent Burns. You wanted to throw this one in here, but Brent
Yeah,
Burns now 9th all-time in goals by a defenseman.
dude is racking them up. All three guys, him and then the 2 assists that came from him. I believe it was Burns scoring from Natchez and Drury. All played on Carolina last year, by the way.
Yeah, actually, yeah, they definitely all former teammates there. Congrats to Burnsy, future Hall of Famer, and yeah, I'd love to see him on a great Avs team and maybe have a chance to win a cup. It's always
Just
exciting
for
for
fun,
those veteran players.
I'm gonna bring it up here.
Yeah, bring it
Brent
up just. What do
Burns.
you bring up just for fun? What
They
shit you got going on over there?
were wrong
Okay.
on their info. Yeah, everyone's putting up this graphic of him being 9th in goals. Sorting by all-time defensemen, he is 8th all-time now. Now Nick Lidstrom, who he just passed, Burns now has 620 or 265 goals. He is 8th all-time, 5 goals behind Bobby Orr.
Wow.
Without looking at the numbers, Brundy, how many goals do you think Brent Burns has left in his career?
Left in his career.
I don't get the vibe that he wants to
tough, though.
retire at the end of the year. Let's say he plays one more year. Let's say he stays with
I
the
need to
Avs
say
for another
because
year.
I can see multiple things. I could see Brent Burns winning the cup with the Avs this year and then retiring, but I could also
If
see
they
him
win
winning
the
the cup and
maybe he
then.
will.
But then I could also see him being like, "I'll resign here. Let's run it back," and he signs for league minimum. He's having a lot of fun there, and
Yeah,
he
you
loves
know
the team, and they love him. Like I could see him
Dude
just being
loves
like,
hockey.
"Yeah, like you know, Brent Burns at league minimum is your third pair right-hand defenseman. That's sick.
All
Avs would
day.
love them back." So either way, I will go that he comes back next year. So throughout the rest of this year, I can see him racking up like we're about way through the season now. So his 4th goal. We'll say he gets 8 more this year in the regular season, and then next year maybe a bit of a drop off, 8 more, so 16 more. We'll say. Ish.
16 more would put him at
Look, just put it at around 20. Put it at around 20.
Round 20? That would put him at 285 career goals. That would put him at 7th. He would pass Bobby Orr, and he would end 3 goals shy of Larry Murphy in 6th.
Yeah, I think that's kind of his ceiling,
right up
probably. Again, tough to tell. Like, the thing with Burns, right, and not jinxing it, but been very healthy over his career. Still rocking that Iron Man streak, and to be able to be doing that, especially at his age as well, is impressive. Like a lot of people talk about Ovi, but it's like Brent Burns has been doing it as well. Stays in great shape. So yeah, I have a tough time seeing him rack up more than the 20. Was it the 23 needed? 24.
Yeah, he'd need 23 to tie Larry Murphy.
So 24 break. It's doable. It's going to be tough, but like it's doable. But I'm leaning towards that just doesn't happen.
Probably ends up 7th all time. I mean, being right ahead of Bobby Orr and Nicholas Lidstrom in all-time goals as a defenseman is a pretty nice spot to be. So,
and I know people say
and
there's
then
an asterisk
past that
because he played a little bit on forward, but who cares?
Yeah, his stats also as a forward weren't great. Like,
sure.
His stats were much better, even all the offensive stats as a defenseman. For those curious, after Larry Murphy, it goes up to from 288 Larry Murphy, it goes all the way up to 310 from Denny Potvin. So, pretty unlikely that he puts up another. What would that be? That's 45 goals away. That's a pretty tall order for. Is Burns 41? Or is he 40? Like
I think he turns 41 this season.
Brent Burns, not Brendan Burns. I don't know who that is. What was I looking for again? He's 40 years old. Yeah, he turns 41 in March.
Okay, yeah.
What a wild man.
We can move on from there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to shout him out. It's always fun seeing guys climb the all-time rank.
Absolutely, yeah. Last bit of news here before we get into our fun stuff to wrap up the episode here. A little bit of World Juniors news. San Jose Sharks, Michael Misa, Pittsburgh Penguins, Harrison Brunnicke, and Calgary Flames, Zane Perrick are all being loaned to Canada for the World Juniors. That is huge for Canada. The biggest thing the last couple of years is they don't make the right choices all the time on who they bring and all that, and they kind of get clowned on. But at the same time, they're also like the only country that consistently has their top players not being eligible because they're in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they're who'd their two best players be this year? Macklin Celebrini and Matthew Schaefer. Oh wait, Schaefer's leading all defensemen in goals, and Celebrini's second in the league in points. Yeah. And they're eligible to be playing in this tournament, right? So
it would be so funny to see Celebrini go, man. Oh, I would love it so much. He would literally put up like the floor is like 5 points a game. I think he would have more than that. I think he would be around 6 or 7 points a game. Like, dude, he's torching NHLers, like full-grown adults. Some of those guys have 1,000 games played. Guys that are getting paid millions to do it. He'd literally, like, not even exaggerating, literally be against children. The entire point of that is he would be out there against 17-year-olds. Dude, like that. That's bonkers that he's even eligible. They're not going to send him because why would they? It would be stupid. But man, would it be funny?
It's funny to think about, absolutely. But
it might be a little bit of a way in, if they're still on the fence. He's pretty young. Do we want to bring him to the Olympics? If he went, do you think that would boost his stock?
No, that wouldn't do anything.
You don't think that does anything for Hockey Canada being like, no, you went out of your way to help us?
No. Because it's not. I mean, it is Hockey Canada, but it's NHL guys that are doing the Olympic teams. They're not doing the.
You're right.
The World Juniors stuff, so they wouldn't give a shit. But still, so far to get these three players, Michael Misa is probably is going to be your top centerman, and Zane Perrick, who's going to be your top defenseman. And Harrison Brennecke is very solid in his own right, and there's the potential for more to be loaned. Ben Kindle's name has been thrown out there. Sam Dickinson, among other players. So not much to sound it, but again, just for Hockey Canada, going into the World Juniors, that's huge to get some of these players that in previous years you probably weren't getting loaned to you from NHL teams. So to be getting three already and the potential for more is very exciting.
Yeah, and frankly, I think it's going to do great things for these players as well. This is just going to be a huge confidence booster. I can't imagine Zane Perrick feels super confident right now. The Flames aren't great. His performance as, people had him as a top 3 guy for the Calder going into this year, and he really hasn't been able to be that guy that we know he's capable of. Him going out there running the top power play and just farming up in a little bit in the juniors, being like kind of make it easier for him to take a step back, be like, okay, here's a bunch of guys all my age. They're all supposed to be the next generation of great players. And I feel like I'm one of the best guys on the team. I think that's going to do wonders for these guys. I think there's a good chance that once it's done, they come back to the NHL and they're better players than they were before.
I 100% agree. I think it can do a lot for these guys' confidence.
Yeah.
Mock trade. We can move on there to our second last segment. And we got the weekly mock trade. This is my week here for the weekly mock trade. Again,
I'm excited.
We do this every Tuesday episode. We do up a fun mock trade that we think is realistic and could possibly see happening. And I think this one makes sense. I think for a lot of reasons. But I will set the scene for you here.
Set it up.
And everybody at home. The Vancouver Canucks trade forward Elias Pettersson to the Carolina Hurricanes for Dallas's 2026 and 2028 first-round picks, along with Jesperi Kotkaniemi and forward prospect Felix Unger-Sorum.
Interesting. Did not think you were going with Pettersson when you said Vancouver.
Yeah, I faked you out a little bit. So Pettersson for 2 firsts 2026, 2028. They are both Dallas's obtained from the Rantanen deal. They're taking on Jesperi Kotkaniemi in his contract, and they're getting a pretty good forward prospect in Felix Ungersorum. 20 years old with 20 points in 22 games in the AHL this season. It's almost a point per game player, 20 years old in the AHL. Game.
Is that enough for a guy like Pettersson, though? He's the only, him, obviously Hughes.
This is assuming, though, that Vancouver's going the route of kind of blowing things up. Because, again, like if they do trade Quinn Hughes, get Elias Pettersson out of there before his contract kind of becomes unmovable. Maybe the team will only go downhill further and further.
Oh, this Dallas team looks like it's going to be good for at least 3 years.
No, no, he's going to Carolina.
No, but they would be getting the Dallas first rounders back. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I'm penciling those in at you're drafting 26th overall or later for both of those, probably. They keep making the conference finals. Other than that, it's the one guy, and you're taking Kotkaniemi back, which if you're going that route, you're going into the rebuild, you don't mind taking that too much, but it feels like they'd want a little bit more out of this. Frankly, maybe even if you'd probably want another good-looking prospect, even if that means taking off one of the firsts, I would say.
Maybe, but it's also at the same time
just a little more assurance
you are
that it's not
offloading Pettersson's entire contract, and you're not having to retain. Like that whole 11.6, you are clearing off the books, and it's not your problem. Because
I think they can look at it like that right now. He's playing well. They've always wanted him to be that number one center, and right now he looks like it. They are paying him a lot, but I think they're just not in a place where they can afford to look at that and be worried about it.
22 points in 28 games, though. That's not an $11.6 million guy.
No, but
it's definitely a bounce back from last
Besser
year.
And who else is on that top line? Garland? Sherwood?
Yeah, but it's never going to get better. It's going to be tough to get players around him that are better than those two while he's at this point in his career right now. This is the time when Pettersson should be getting better and starting to kind of he's already 27, so kind of reach his peak.
Yep.
Right? It's almost one of those ones where, maybe the value's a little bit kind of lopsided and it's maybe more in Carolina's favor for you that way.
Well, it's just if you're not getting a ton back and you're taking on Kotkaniemi,
Well, because Kotkaniemi's kind of to make the money. And Kotkaniemi can be a fine third-line center for the Canucks while they power through a rebuild. If they're willing to, you could retain on Kotkaniemi and you move him at $2 million or a little bit over $2 million for the next 4 years. There's playoff teams that would pay you for that. The only downside to Kotkaniemi is just his contract isn't the most desirable. And it kind of it was kind of based around, Vancouver's kind of, if they are kind of going the route of rebuild, retooling, you'd almost kind of just move on from Pettersson, that contract, and kind of clean slate, fresh start. But I definitely could see if you're Vancouver, you feel like you need more.
Honestly, it's just it's either a little bit more value or just more security in that value. A guy like Bradley Nadeau, how good is he supposed to be? He's supposed to be pretty decent,
good, but right? I don't think Carolina moves him. That's the thing. I did kind of consider.
You don't think they do that trade with him included and taking away one of the first?
No. They know what they got in him, and he's. So I kind of looked at him if you take out a first or something, you got to do something you got to do something like a Jackson Blake, or someone of that level, because they have some.
Well, frankly, you'd like that more than Nadeau if you're Vancouver. Potentially,
yeah, but the thing is, Carolina doesn't.
I was gonna say that's why I didn't even bring him up. I was looking at Blake, Stankoven, but they just extended those guys. They don't want to move those.
Yeah, because I went with Ungersorum because he's kind of the most kind of surefire of their kind of prospects when you look at Carolina. they've got a lot of guys that like Ivan Ryabkin, Nikita Armontov. Like these are guys that could, but there's no guarantee in them. Like they could become, solid NHL players, but they could also be guys that they never get further than like a couple games in the league. It's so kind of tough to tell with them. So I kind of went with the guy that I think was the most sure thing, and that being Ungerstorm, right winger. Again, like he's just turned 20 at the beginning of the season. He's already almost a point per game player in the AHL. So, but I definitely can see why. Yeah, if you'd want Vancouver to.
Yeah, I definitely see the base of the trade there for sure with a lot of the stuff you put out. Yeah, it would just be like, I think they would just want a little bit more something tangible. I think teams don't like when a very core of a trade is like, obviously there's a lot of value on a first round pick, but you don't want that to be like the main thing when you're sending out a superstar player, because what if that guy's a bust and then I traded, Pettersson for bust and this guy who's good, but he ain't Pettersson, right? So
Can you explain that again? More teams would prefer the draft pick.
I think more teams would prefer the player. Obviously, it depends
San
what this
Jose
player
and
is.
Chicago did for the most part, was kind of get first, because in that way you can do your scouting and you can pick the players that you feel best is kind of for the way you're building. Like I went with Carolina because Carolina desperately kind of needs an upgrade in the center spot more than I think anyone else that's kind of, in that playoff scene. But yeah, like there's not much more Carolina can really add on here, because I don't think it makes sense for Carolina to move Nadeau, who I think is going to be a top 6 beast for them, and then Jackson Blake, who you got on a really great deal long term. Like, why would you move him? You'd be asking Vancouver, if we're giving you Jackson Blake, it's Jackson Blake and a first, and that's it. Well, actually, then and Kotkaniemi, you got to take Kotkaniemi.
Yeah,
Kotkaniemi and Jackson Blake for Elias Pettersson. Final answer.
Kotkaniemi and Jackson Blake, frankly, it's interesting.
No, it's not.
I think there's,
because Jackson Blake would just go to Vancouver to, because that's the thing, right?
Yeah,
if Vancouver does get young, like Felix Ungerstorm, he's probably going to be playing in the NHL next year, and which is good. But then Vancouver, it's like, well, now who does he play with? That's kind of the risk you take of if you're a rebuilding team of trading for players, is you still got to have good talent to put around them.
Yeah,
for them to produce. You can't expect them to come in and light it up. Yeah, that's what I went with.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Carolina makes the most sense for Elias Pettersson.
I definitely think they're one of the teams that makes the most sense. It could be a tricky deal
to make work, but
yeah,
if you're Vancouver, I mean, if you're trading Quinn Hughes, you might as well trade Elias Pettersson and just strip things down to the studs, load up, and if you are going to do a retool, it makes it a lot quicker.
Yeah, it definitely would. And, Pettersson, making a lot of money. He's also, good, bad. Like, you never know what you're going to get with him. So it would, you don't have to worry about that headache anymore. So I definitely think he's one of the most likely teams that he would get traded to. And I do think that is, I don't know if the exact deal you laid out is what I would go with for them, but I think most of those pieces would be included. I think there would be at least a first. I do think Kotkaniemi would come back, and Nadeau is probably involved in there as well. So as far as the skeleton of the deal, A+. I think that's exactly what would be.
Yeah, because Kotkaniemi's got to be just to like basically make the money work. Like that's.
And if you're planning on going that
Carolina's
route,
making a deal. You
don't care about that cap hit with what they'd be doing.
And after this year, he's got 4 or 5 years left. Just retain half and trade him. Like,
yeah,
a team might honestly, I don't know, maybe not a first. For the right team, you might get a first if they get Kotkaniemi at just a little over $2 million for the next 4 or 5 years.
Well, who else do you have hanging around? Maybe he's your first line center for a bit. Has a couple good games, and then he looks better and teams pick him up. So
turn him into an asset. Absolutely.
I
But
like it.
that was this week's weekly mock trade. All we got left is our last little game here to wrap it up. Do you have any guesses on what I got for you here today?
Oh, geez, what have we played recently? Let's say real or fake.
You're wrong. It's categories.
Oh, I was gonna guess categories.
Favorite. I think that's what you guessed last week.
We got I didn't guess it because I've guessed it once or twice in a row. Damn.
Should have stuck with it.
I've been
for those who are unfamiliar with categories, very simple. This is a team edition. So I've got 5 teams. 4 of them fit the criteria. 1 does not. 1 is the outlier. It is up to Braden and you at home to figure out which team doesn't belong and why. Remember, there is always a free hint if needed. And this is team-based. So when it's a team, you don't have to think about players. You don't have to think about any players.
You don't have to think about the players on the team or anything.
Yeah. Because I remember the one time there you were scrambling because you started thinking of players on that team. I was like, but I couldn't touch.
Well, it's like this team has had an Art Ross winner and that kind of stuff, but
yeah. No, there won't be that kind of stuff with the teams.
Okay.
Are you ready for your 5 teams?
Yes.
You have the Edmonton Oilers, the San Jose Sharks, the Minnesota Wild, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Nashville Predators. Those are your 5 teams.
The Oilers, the Sharks, the Wild, the Canadiens, and the Predators.
Correct.
Well, I don't know if it's this, but I am going to say this right off the bat. I am going to be annoyed if the answer is just the Wild don't have an S at the end of their name. We all love that trivia. There's a couple teams, the Lightning, the Avalanche, the Wild, that don't have an S. I'm going to assume it's not that because we, as hockey fans, we know that at this point there's however many teams that don't have the S at the end. That's a little too on the nose.
Okay.
The Sharks, the Predators, and the Oilers in the past 10 years have all been to a Stanley Cup final. The Canadiens have also been to a Stanley Cup final in 2020. The Minnesota Wild, to my knowledge, I don't think have ever been to a cup final. Haha. I don't think I had it, but I think I was very close. I think you went even one step further. I mean, usually I take a good bit of time with these. I think I can make quick work of this because I don't know if I'm going to find something that fits the criteria better than this. Not only did all of those teams... Not only did all of them make it to the Stanley Cup final, but all of them are in the Western Conference. Well, the Canadiens aren't, are they? But in the 2020 playoffs, they beat the Vegas Golden Knights in the Western Conference Finals because it was all fucked up that year.
It was a fucked up season.
I'm looking for the name of their trophy. The Clarence C. Campbell Bowl. Campbell Bowl. They should have called it something other than a bowl. Where's the history of this thing? Do we got them on it? The Canadiens are in their own bracket here. They have winners listed from like way in the past up until 2020, and then they have the Canadiens in a separate thing. I'm going to say that counts. That has to count. That'd be stupid not to.
Okay.
Trying to think of what else it might be. There's some President's trophies in there with the Predators, the Sharks. Probably the Oilers recently, right? I don't think so. No, I think that's it.
I can't tell you.
I think that's it. I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to go for it with full aura intact. I'm not going to ask for my hint.
Okay.
I'm going to lock in that the Minnesota Wild are the odd team out because they are not a Clarence S. Campbell Bowl trophy winner. They have not won in the Western Conference Finals.
Final answer, locking it in?
Locking it in.
You were sniffing around it.
Oh.
But Braden, for the first time ever, you got 100% in category.
Yes.
You sniped out. The hint I did have for it was I was just going to say COVID. Because, yes, it was the COVID year that the Montreal Canadiens won the Western Conference in the end. Not a traditional Western Conference team, but they counted towards it that year. So well done.
I was sitting there like, they all made the finals. That feels a little bit too easy, though. As soon as I realized that the Canadiens also technically won in the West, I was like, that's got to be it. That's such a good bit of trivia.
You were bang on. Well done. Hopefully, all of you at home that participated did good as well. But it is that time where we are at the end of the episode. If you want to let us know your thoughts on what we talked about today, or if we missed anything, or anything you'd like us to discuss, you can do so at the end of the socials or over on YouTube. That's all I got to say. Braden, you know the drill. As always, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. We got a lot of high-profile guys hitting the IR, and I'm just hoping until we get this next episode out, from here until the Friday upload, I'm hoping that we don't see any more bad injuries. We got all kinds of goalies hitting IR. We got guys out indefinitely. I'm just hoping for 3 or 4 days of healthy hockey.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'd like to see that happen. And we'll find out later this week when we are back on Friday. But that is it for this one final time. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we will see all of you lovely people out on the ice later this week.